Good night, everyone doing tonight. God is good and God is good all the time. My name is Irma J. I got a little short news and a word for you tonight. Okay. Now, we got voting. Voting is election right around the corner. Um, so we got President Biden. He re-election again. Re-election of 24 is near. President Biden running again. He said he's strong enough to run again. So he want all voters to give him more time to finish the race. His achievement and experience for these past years, you know, and still strong, holding on, and still set to fight another struggle to retain the president on 24. Now, he always looking for ways to help America. Insulin was very expensive, but President Biden, you know, uh, got a bill passed for insulin for a price of $35, per month. For all Americans who had have diabetes, making sure they're affordable for their medicine. Because some of the Medicaids don't cover, their medicine. And some of them, they coming out with their pocket paying. So that's why he was trying to make sure they could get $35 affordable for them to get. So uh, he also he also had a bill passed for $1.2 billion student loan cancellation. So he let all go out. So let's all go out. Let's all go out and vote for the best person for the job. So also Bennett, showcased the 10 year. I'm sorry, President Bennett, 1,000 contractor. Contractor jobs is being created since he took office that he supported by legislature, to sign into law. Inflation Reduction Act, a big employment report and some good news in inflation, and suddenly, they were hearing a lot about his accomplishment. Because soon as he got in seat, he just started working. So now here are some of his great achievements, as a president of the United States. These are some of the things, it's 26, but I just have a few down right now. But he been doing a whole lot while he was in the seat. He also had passed, a bill $1.2 trillion bipartisan inflation package to increase investment in a national network of bridge and road, airport, public, transport, and national broadband. So internet as well as underwater, waterways, energy system. So he helped get more than 500 million, life-saving COVID-19, in the arms of American through the American Rescue Plan. So he made 369 billion investment in climate change. The large American history by pulling the truth out of the in climate change. So he tried prescription drugs prices at 2,000, per year for senior citizens to Medicaid through the legacy Inflation Reduction Act. Minimus, that's a tower plant. He was dealing with that last year. August the 10th of last year, President Bennett, he wanted to help economics and jobs, and turn previous felicity and time matter function for faculty. So his transformation at New Mexico Wind Tower Plant, that was there was many people with jobs. That was his whole plan. So get a lot of people their jobs and stuff. Due to this plan. New funds from Washington after it passed the receive its highest bill order to win towns. It's time to finish the race. Benny vote. So it's a lot, he did while he was in seat. And he wants to continue on. He wants to continue on. He said he's not finishing. He's not finishing. So he wants to continue on the race. So let's vote for him so he can continue the race. He wants to finish the job. So he also got his vice president, Kamala Harris. She working side by side with him, and she re-election again along with him. For 2024. So vice president, you know, vice president of the United States, presides over the United States, senator, and take over the role of president of the United States if the president is unable to perform his duties. Now, this is our first African American female, in power as vice president, Kamala Harris. This is the first vice president, I see, is very active, in the field, speaking on issues that are needed. Kamala is the backbone for President Biden. So she not stepping on his toes, but being a voice to many who needed to hear that she is their side, by his side. She become to be a good speaker everywhere she go. So she has spoke, in Jacksonville. Her visit, come from after this decision. After the decision to settle education, official to change what students are taught and about African American history. So she also has speak on jobs, small businesses, and she hold a press conference speaking on Medicaid, drugs, and prices. She also visits Seattle, speak about Inflation Reduction Act. She very active. She be all over. Kamala also spoke on abortion many times. She always speak on Black history. What she doing is what we don't see, be done as vice president. But she doing the work. She doing the work. So what President Biden not speaking on, she's speaking on. She also is a good vice president, a big help to President Biden. Now, she have the right to run along, with President Biden election for 24. So they're working good together, side by side. You don't find too many vice president speaking. She be all over, speaking on all kind of issues that's needed. And so she'll be right to vote. She'll be right to run for election 24, Vice President Kamala Harris for President Biden. So that's all I have for the vote. Because voting is getting close, and we still voting up until November. So if anybody needs to register for a vote, you can do so. Now is the best time. That any information needs to be changed. We all need to get ready to vote, and we also can do the early vote now. And so that's all for that. And I have a word for you tonight. The future glory of Zion. God will reset this woman's life back stronger than ever. So they're going to come from Isaiah 54, 1 through 17. So this is a barren woman, now who had never born a child. Verses of songs and shout for joy. You who were never in labor. because more are children of dissolute woman than of her has a husband, said the Lord. But she never had no children. Just remember Sarah never had no children. But back then, you ain't had no children. You like less of a woman. That's the way they feel. They get teased and criticized. And so this woman who have a husband, but she have no children, she a woman with great shame. They consider that shame, and disgrace, and guarantee a future, for her. A woman depend on children in her elder age, but God letting her know she have a future, that God will permit her to have many children and will change her mourning to singing, and God stepping in, He's seen the neighbors and all that criticizing, making the remarks and stuff like that, and so He's stepping in. He said you're gonna have more children, you're gonna have enough children, so now God said enlarge the place of your tent. Stretch your tent curtain wide. Do not hold back. Letting your cords strengthen your seat. Now, God said He got about to enlarge her own place. So her place was small, and God about to enlarge her place. It gonna be beautiful with the gates and all that gonna be gold. So prepare to be blessed. Now, God's message is Israel. Prepare themselves to receive the blessing that He is about to pour out on them. So enlarge your house. You are going to need a bigger place. So God telling her, be prepared. You about to enlarge into a bigger place. He said, don't undermine, your amount of room that you need. So build. For you will spread out to the right and to the left, and your deceiving will dispose position in nation and settle in their dissolution city. Your deceiving will occupy other nation and resettle in the city, and you're going to need lots of elbow room for your growing family. Knowing going to take over your whole nation, you're going to resettle abandoned city. So God not only just giving her a little house, she about to see that abandoned city. She about to take all that. She about to take all that. He said your children gonna be having the whole nation. She went from no children to gonna have many children. She went from a small place gonna have a whole city. So do not be afraid. You will not be put to shame. God said, you're not gonna be put to shame no more. Do not feel disgrace. Now you will not be humiliated, and you will forget the shame of your youth. And remember, no more repulsion of your widowhood. Because see, the husband was thinking about leaving because she never had no children from him. And so God said, don't be afraid. You're not going to be embarrassed. You're not going to be short. You forget all about your humiliation and shame, for your maker is your husband. The Lord Almighty is His name. The Holy One is Israel, and a Redeemer. And He is called the God of all earth. Now, her husband leaving. God said, don't worry about that. I'll be your husband. He said, I'll be your husband of the Lord Almighty. And He going to take care of her if He going to be her husband. And so He want to leave because she ain't got no children for her. But God about to make her have all kind of children. She going to have children of a nation, like He did Israel. And she about to have a whole city. So just think about the husband you can imagine. A husband, who loved his wife. And now that's what he's trying to tell her now. If her husband loved her, he won't be thinking about leaving because she ain't have no children. You know, God's saying, you know, you're going to get a husband that's going to love you. You know, your husband who care for you. You know, his wife, a husband. You know, now she will have the best husband on earth. You know, so the Lord will call you back as if you were a wife deserted and distressing in the spirit. You know, so a wife who married, you know, a young only to be rejected, say you God. Now bad enough, she being criticized by the neighbors and all this because she ain't got no children, you know. But then she being rejected by her husband, you know. And so sometimes women just go through a whole lot of rejection, you know. And so God saying, you know, don't worry about that. You gonna have a husband that gonna love you, that gonna care for you, you know, and not gonna walk off, you know. So the barren woman. So in the culture of Israel, you know, Isaiah did, you know, so unmarried woman of a barren wife, you know, sit at the bottom of the social, you know, culture, you know. So a woman who had no children, nobody didn't want to be bothered with. And they criticized her and they got her alone. They didn't want to talk to her or nothing, you know. And so be a husband less than childish disgrace. A woman in her family, and her husband could divorce his wife. So he had back then, he had the right to divorce her. You know, if she didn't have no children, that was their law. No wife, if she was fertile. You know, so even a widow who once bare children, that could become an outcast. You know, with children suggested that her widow, you know, state was a result of sin. You know, for a woman's success in accepting equal the husband and a lot of children. Now, Isaiah compared God people to a barren woman. Now they're really talking about the Israelite. You know, he's talking about the Israelite is a barren woman, and you know that's why he said he'll be the husband. He'll be the husband of all the Israelite. You know, but he promised that they would not always be ashamed. You know, for the time, Jerusalem will be disillusioned, but later it will be a population, you know, filled with rich and powerful resources. You know, for a brief moment, you know, I abandoned you, but you deep compassion, you know, I will bring you back. And God said, I abandoned you for a little while. I abandoned you for a little while. But see, when he abandoned you, he working behind the scenes. He figuring something out. You know, because he said, I'm going to come back. And so when he going to come back, you know, with deep compassion, I will bring you back. You know, so God said, through her fear, you know, in hard time, he was angry only for a brief moment. You know, so he was angry for only a brief moment. You know, we may feel alone and suffering, you know, for deep despair, you know, but he sees us and hold us in his hand and give us strength and say, that's for a brief moment. He forsake us. You know, he will not forsake us. And in a source of anger, he hid my face from you for a moment. But with an everlasting kindness, you know, I will have compassion on you. You know, said the Lord, your Redeemer. Now, God said that he had abandoned Israel for a brief moment. You know, so the nation was like a young wife rejected by the husband, but God still called Israel his own. And see, that's what it is. You know, always talking in parables. So really, the husband leaving is really God had left for a while. He left for a moment, and so he abandoned Israel for a moment, but he was angry for a moment, but then he came back. Now two men, the days of Noah, when I was with the swores that the water, Noah would never again cover the earth. So now I had sworn not to be angry with you, but never to rebuke again. Now he said Noah, he made a commitment to Noah that I will never, have a flood to take out a city. So not just like he said to Noah, he will never cover the earth with water. Now he's saying to Israel, I will not be angry with you and never rebuke you again. Though the mountain be shaken and the hills be removed, but yet your unfalling love for you will not be shaken, no, the coveter. Peace be removed. Said the Lord, who is compassionate on you? It's an encouragement. Now, God kindness, will not be depart from us. We know that God is slow to anger. God peace and covenant of his peace, will be removed from us. Affliction seated, lashed by the storm, and a comfort that I will rebuild you with stones, and your foundation with purple. Now he talking about he about to rebuild this woman house back up. He about to reset Israel back. Your suffering, comfort, the stone revenge, city, it will rebuild the city with the precious stones. I will reset your foundation, with God's word. Now Jerusalem will be restored even better than it was began. He will reset the nation because he cared for them. I will make your battlement of ruby, your gates with sparkling jewels. Now that's gonna be pretty. And all your walls are precious stone. All your children will be taught by the Lord. And he talking about when Jesus came to be their king. And Jesus gonna teach them everything they need to know. And great will be their peace. And it will have peace. God made a covenant with Noah. That he will never, be broken. And God made a covenant with peace and with the people of Israel, promised that the time will come when he will stop pouring out his anger on them. Now he will never restore their wealth, and he would personally teach their children. So now we see the future of the Israelite in the glory of God. In the righteousness you will be established. Trinity will be far from you. You will have nothing to fear. Terror will be far removed. It will not come near you again. Now God said, I'm going to reset your life. And God said, you ain't got to worry about, don't fear. Because it's not going to come near you again. And that's a blessing. When God tell you your trouble is not going to come a second time around, that is good. So now God promised that we will not be far away, from oppression. So that we will not be afraid. Now, this is the promise from God, knowing that he will protect us, but we still have to fear. We still have fear and anxiety and stress in our life. and I'm talking about myself too. We know we got God in our life. We know God said He ain't gonna forsake us. But some reason we still have fear and anxiety and stress and everything. And when we should have none of those things. If anyone does attack you, it will not be my doing. Whoever attack will surrender to you. Now God's saying to Israel, when trouble comes, it will not be him, but when they do, they will surrender to you. Now just like with Job, his attack was not from God, it was from Satan. But God watched over him and through the attacks. So a lot of time we be attacked, all kind of stuff come at us, and the first thing we say, what God at? But a lot of time we have to think about your situation. We know God. We know Satan had to get in touch with God to do anything to Job because he was a righteous man. And we have to realize God didn't send them attacks. Satan sent them attacks. Because God sit there, He sit there to watch your faith. God always touching our faith. And we always say, what God at, what God at. But see, when He testing our faith, He's quiet. And so see, it is I who created the blacksmith, who fans the coals into the frame and follows a weapon fit for it. It is I who have created the destroyer of the weak one. Because the devil gonna always fall. It gonna fall. But that don't mean it always gonna prosper. So God's saying it is He who created the blacksmith, that God can certainly redeem His pledge. Now, because all the instruments and agents that are alike at His disposal, and under His control. That's why I say the storm is God. The storm is for God. He in control of everything, even our pain and suffering. God can He can stop any trials that come in our way. But He want us to learn and get experience and feel, what we going through. So He said, no weapon formed against you will prevail. And you will rebuke every tongue that accuse you. Remember, they was accusing her. And they was criticizing her. Making her feel shame because she ain't got no children. And that this is the inheritance of the servant of the Lord. And this is your validation from me, declare the Lord. Now, it's stated out taken about His barrier. Now this woman, but it really about the Israelite. God will reset their nation back, better than before. The future of the Israelite in the glory of God. Because God gonna get His glory after they reset. He reset their whole life all over again. So that's the story on the future of the glory of Zion. God will reset, the Israelite back together. Put it back together. And He will leave you for a moment. And He'll be right back. That's just how He said He'll be back. And when He come back, He gonna come back better. Have ideas and create something and everything. He'll have it ready for you. So we talk about, voting time. We talk about Mr. President Bennett and Vice President Kamala Harris. They both is re-election for 2024. So we want to go out and vote, and you can vote before November. You know, early voting. Both of them been doing wonderful work since they've been in seat. You know, we have a vice president is very active. You know, she in the field. You know, and she talk about a lot of issues that's going on. You know, and president is making a whole lot of moves that keeping the inflation and economics together. You know, had that big plant construction, a big plant, and that was enough for a lot of people to have a job. You know, so and then for their medicine, got it down to $35 because you know, insulin was very and you know expensive. You know, and a lot of them, you know, had to take more than one. You know, so he very concerned. He always working, coming up with ideas. You know, and he said, let him finish the race. You know, he wants to continue on. He said he's strong enough to keep on going a second time around. So that's all I have for you tonight. You know, y'all have a nice and safe night. I'll see y'all in the next video.